North Korea's second naval destroyer was damaged in its failed launch to the water this week, state media reported Thursday. Raf Waber with the Associated Press explains that it was an embarrassment for leader Kim Jong-un as he pushes to modernize his naval forces. It's not common for North Korea to acknowledge military-related setbacks, but observers say the disclosure of the failed ship launch suggests that Kim is serious about his naval advancement program and confident of ultimately achieving its objectives. During a launching event at the northeastern port of Chongjin on Wednesday, the newly built 5,000-ton class destroyer became unbalanced and was punctured in its bottom sections after a transport cradle on the stern section slid off first and became stuck, according to the Korean Central News Agency. KCNA didn't provide details on what caused the problem, the severity of the damage or whether anyone was injured. The damaged vessel was likely in the same class as North Korea's first destroyer, unveiled April 25, which experts assessed as the North's largest and most advanced warship to date. Kim called the first vessel, named Cho Hyun, a famed Korean guerrilla fighter during the Japanese colonial period, a significant asset for advancing his goal of expanding the military's operational range and nuclear strike capabilities. State media described that ship as designed to handle various weapon systems, including anti-air and anti-ship weapons as well as nuclear-capable ballistic and cruise missiles. Kim said the ship was expected to enter active duty early next year and later supervise test firings of missiles from the warship.
Surprising news from North Korea, a failure to launch a new Navy ship, a giant destroyer said to be 5,000 tons, and with the leader, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, on the spot. It's rare that North Korea acknowledges failure in its state media reports. Why did it do it this time? Well, North Korea is trying to modernize its military. There have been lots of reports from North Korean state media about Army, Air Force, Special Forces, as well as Navy, submarines, and all these kinds of things which are important for North Korea to project its force or make a show of projecting its force. Why this time North Korea has come out with a report of failure is unclear, and what is the message it's trying to send to the outside world at a time when relations with its neighbor South Korea and also the US are bad.
Ukrainian military expert Ivan Kirichevsky says Ukraine's military intelligence HUR acted preemptively, so Russia had no reason to launch a Yars missile. In fact, there was no Yars missile launch. It's possible that in this case, the HUR acted ahead of time, and that's precisely why the Russians saw no point in proceeding. The very fact that HUR issued such a warning is highly significant. Under normal circumstances, there is a communication line between the Americans and the Russians through which they notify each other 24 hours in advance about launches of this kind. Kirichevsky noted on Espresso TV. According to the military expert, it appears that Russia was indeed preparing a provocation, potentially one that could have threatened not only Europe, but the United States as well. After all, the Yars is a missile with a range of up to 10,000 kilometers, and it's not about Europe, it's about the US. So it's possible that, thanks to this warning from HUR, something far more serious than a mere provocation against Europe and the US was averted. Kirichevsky added, despite the fact that Russia planned on May the 19th to carry out a training and combat launch of RS-24 Yars intercontinental ballistic missile, everything indicated that this launch of the missile, which is a weighty argument of the Kremlin in its confrontation with the West, did not take place. Let us recall that according to the defense intelligence of the Ministry of Defense, the launch area for the launch of this missile was the most atypical. In the Sverdlovsk region, near the settlement of Svobodny, it is there that the 433rd Regiment of the 42nd Division of the 31st Army of the Russian Strategic Missile Forces is based. This launch area is located just 25 kilometers from Nizhny Tagil. Why the Russians did not launch this time remains unknown. After all, in 2023, the Russians failed to successfully launch the RS-24 Yars ICBM twice in a row. They went off course. After all, any missile undergoes a pre-flight check, during which some shortcomings can be identified that could prevent the decision to launch the missile this time. It should be remembered that at the moment, before the negotiations between Putin and Trump, which were announced the day before, the Kremlin is unlikely to be interested in showing the incapacity of its so-called strategic nuclear forces. It is also not possible to exclude the possibility of an emergency situation during the first stage of the flight immediately after launch, despite the fact that the RS-24 Yars ICBM is a deep modernization of the RT-2P M2 Topol M ICBM. There is always a risk of failure of some components and systems of the missile.
Russian air defense systems shot down 105 Ukrainian drones overnight on May 22, including 35 intercepted over Moscow Oblast, the Russian Defense Ministry has claimed. From midnight to 5:30 Moscow time, air defense systems on duty destroyed and intercepted 105 Ukrainian aircraft-type unmanned aerial vehicles, the statement said. Including 35 drones were shot down over the capital region, 4 over the Oryol region, 12 over the Kursk region, 11 over the Belgorod region, and 10 over the Tula region. 9 drones were destroyed over the territory of the Kaluga region, 7 over the Voronezh region, 3 over the territories of the Lipetsk and Smolensk regions, and 1 over the territory of the Bryansk region. Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin said that all the drones were flying toward the Russian capital. Due to the drone attack, all 4 Moscow airports, Sheremetyevo, Vnukovo, Domodedovo and Zhukovsky, as well as airports in Tambov and Vladimir were temporarily closed. Other Ukrainian drones were also shot down over the Oryol, Kursk, Belgorod, Tula, Kaluga, Voronezh, Lipetsk, Smolensk and Bryansk oblasts, the Russian Defense Ministry said. Tula Oblast Governor Dmitry Milyev said one of the drones crashed into the roof of an apartment building in Tula. The attack also damaged other residential and non-residential buildings, he said. Russian authorities haven't reported any other damage or reported any casualties. While Russia, Ukraine, the United States and European powers consider the sequencing of a possible end to the more than 3-year conflict in Ukraine, the drone war continues and fighting is intensifying in some key areas of the front.
Это здоровый лютый, который летает. На Рязань пошел.
Небо голубое, ясно.
Ух ты, ёб твою мать, блядь! Ёб твою мать! Пойдем домой, ну нахер!
Все, пошел на патриот. Слышишь звук? О! Пошел нахуй!